This is the Flex Network. Flex on everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Flex Network. I'm your host, Flex Shane. You can follow me on Twitter at the Flex Network 1. We know there's a lot of content out there, so thank you so much for joining us today. And please like and subscribe as we get going here. I'm joined, of course, by Brandon Adam. You can follow him on Twitter at Brandon D. Adam. And the Prince himself, Mike Dickinson at Mike_Dickinson. Gentlemen, Brandon, how the hell are you doing, brother?
I'm awesome this morning, man. I woke up in a good mood. I don't know. I had a good sleep last night, so I feel pretty good today. How about you guys?
There you go.
I did not get the memo about collared shirt Saturday, so I apologize in advance.
No problem.
Listen, we figured we should start classing to show up, just slightly in petite peu. So that's
a little bit.
We're rocking it today. Boys, okay, so last week, of course, as expected, we started doing the draft board. We got the wide receiver. That was it. So we're going to go in. We're going to dive. It's kind of what happens, right? It's what we should expect at this point. Clipboard Jesus, welcome, brother. Yes, the Prince has arrived. I love it.
You can add Clown Prince to that if you want to. Clown Prince.
We'll call you the Clout Prince instead. We'll give you a little bit of credit. We love you, Mike. So today, of course, we're going to start chatting about running backs and what their expected draft capital is going to be, because we talked about it on the show last week. Like, wide receiver is obviously critical when it comes to draft position, but it's a little bit more, let's call it fungible, right? I mean, obviously, the lower you go in the draft, the less chance you have of breaking out, but it's extra important for running backs. You don't get day one, day two draft capital as running back. It could be a problem. It could be a serious problem. So, of course, we're going to discuss that, but we went and we dabbled in. We got some pretty sharp folks. Went and we did a mock draft, a rookie Superflex mock draft. So I kind of want to start the show just by talking about that just real quick. Kevin, what's going on, brother? Happy Easter weekend to you as well.
Yes, happy Easter, everybody.
You guys down there, I mean, I know, Brandon, you're retired, so you don't work ever. You just live the dream on the snow, on the hill and the hockey rinks. But Mike, are you guys? I mean, I guess you work in the restaurant industry, so you got screwed anyways. But is it a holiday, Good Friday? Because we had it off in Canada yesterday. It was fantastic.
No, it was the busiest day. It was the busiest day. We're down at the beach down in the Delaware, the Eastern Shore. So areas around us have their spring breaks. Our schools have spring breaks. So it was like a summer day yesterday. It was about 75 degrees. It was absolutely beautiful. There's an outlet complex, and they have something big that they had set up for Christmas. It was, I think it was like 2 acres of stuff they had set up for Christmas. So the people that run that had flipped it over and did a spring thing. So there was 75,000 eggs spread out over the course of this entire thing. They had it chunked out into 3 different age groups. So there were probably, 5,000 people there, kids everywhere. It was awesome. It was a really good time.
I just thought of something. We need to start growing our viewership on the East Coast in the United States. Mike, is this something that we can do? We can list all, because you have 19 restaurants, I believe, right? All along the East Coast.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. So we need to list the 19 restaurants, the cities, and if you come in and you cite the Flex Network podcast show, you get 10% off your bill that night. We got to start rocking this.
The problem is they're in a 15-mile stretch, so it's not gonna. It doesn't get us much clout.
Like, literally, he's right there. Like I visit him down there. It's all in one spot. It's pretty cool little town.
Yep.
But let's get after these RBs and QBs.
Let's talk about this draft board real quick. So I'm going to do my best here to share my screen so that the good people can follow along. Of course, I did include the link in the info below, but I'm going to share my screen here. And listen, gentlemen, we had some pretty sharp drafters. We had Al in there. We had, of course, Cody Carpentier. We had, I don't know if we count Flex Matt as a sharp drafter, but we had a few folks in there.
Yeah.
And let's get going, okay? Because let's talk about your draft here first, Brandon. So again, this is a super flex draft. You were picking out of the 4 spot. You got Treylon Burks, Jahan Dotson, Tyler Algier, who we'll talk about a little bit later on the show, Jelani Woods, who you friggin' love, and what is it, Kevin Austin?
Kevin Austin out of Notre Dame, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about your draft a little bit.
Sure, yeah. So out of the 4 spot, I was so pleased that it was either going to be Treylon Burks or Kenneth Walker, and I was so blown away that Cody went with Walker, so that threw me back a little bit. So I went Burks, my wide receiver 1 for the class as of right now. We'll see where he lands and where Drake London lands, and we'll sort that out later after the draft. But as of right now, pre-draft, Treylon Burks is still my highest upside player in this draft. That could turn into something that could possibly really be a wide receiver 1 for your team for a long time. Deebo Samuel-esque, AJ Brown-esque. That's the kind of guy I'm looking at in Treylon Burks. Jahan Dotson is a guy that's a route runner, can go inside, outside, and I like him a lot out of Penn State. My guy, I've been pounding the table for Tyler Algier since the beginning, right? Like I've been saying that he's a 3-down back. He's perfect size, 220 pounds. He's a little slower. He reminds me of James Conner in a way, the way he runs the rock. And then I got my ultimate upside play in Jelani Woods. Just the metrics just point that he is all-time athletic at the position. And he used to be a quarterback, which really interests me because he knows the game at a different way than most, players in the position. So he understands defenses probably better than most and where to be. So that really kind of intrigues me. And then Kevin Austin is just a profile guy that has had a somewhat okay college, career, but his metrics of athleticism says that he can play. So we'll see. He's a total dart throw though.
Can we talk about Tyler Algier real quick here? So
sure.
Says Alan Seslowski texted me this morning. He said Dane Brugler, mock drafter of The Athletic, had Tyler Algier as his 3rd drafted running back at pick 96 to the Saints. Yeah. So Tyler Algier, his best comparable is Zack Moss in the player profiler database. And look, I think that
he catches the ball better than Zack Moss.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of soured on Zack Moss, but when the Bills drafted him a few years back, we were kind of like, all right, this is an okay draft. Yeah, I mean, what was it, third or fourth round draft pick? Like that's fine. So I like that. Obviously Treylon Burks, he's my top rated wide receiver still. We talked privately that I've had a lot of inward pressure. That doesn't sound good, but of throwing him down maybe behind Garrett Wilson and kind of hedging a little bit. But man, you got to go all in at this point, I think, on him. Our boy Clip, who's in the draft, was drafted. He was sandwiched right between you and Mike, and he was saying you're snapping him every time. So I like that. Clip, actually, I like your draft, man. So Chris Olave, I think that's solid over Garrett Wilson and Drake London. I just like you taking having a take there.
Nice flag, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. James Cook, who, man, he's going to be a solid satellite back. Ty Chandler. His measurables are pretty solid. Calvin Austin, athletic.
I like him. His take is so fun. Like he's a fun player to watch.
I'm so gun shy after Rondell Moore, who if anybody at that size was going to break out, it was going to be Rondell. Didn't really break out, and then Otten. I don't even know who Otten is. Cade Otten out of Washington. So a small school guy. I respect that. But Mike, let's let you chat a little bit. Okay. You went Garrett Wilson, love it. Sky Moore, my boy. Greg Dulcich, pretty much being mocked as a second tight end off the board, so that's solid. Isaiah Pacheco, somebody you've been talking about, and of course Bailey Zappi in a Superflex league, taking a shot on Zappi. Can't argue there. So, what was your thought going into this draft?
Yeah, so looking at it, obviously the 2 running backs came off the board early, Hall and Walker. And if it wasn't one of them, it was going to be either Olave or Wilson for me. Wilson was my first, and Olave was my second. So I was honestly, I was super happy to get him there. Coming back around, the value still was screaming at wide receiver. So you can't hate on Sky Moore. Although in a super flex setup, I think that
Sam Howell.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, this is pre-draft. I think post-draft, this might look a little bit different because if Sam Howell, there's talk about Sam Howell bumping up into the bottom of the first again. So we're starting to see this ebb and flow. At first, it was, there's 2 quarterbacks. This is the worst quarterback draft ever. They're going to be taken at 30 and 32. Then it was, well, you know what? It's not so bad. So we're starting to see that kind of ebb and flow up a little bit. If Sam Howell bumps back into the bottom part of the first, I think that in that situation, I would probably go Howell over Moore just because it's a super flex setup. That said, if he gets first round capital, he probably wouldn't be there to be an option for me at 2.6 if we're being 100% honest. So if you're looking at Willis, Ritter, Pickett, Corral, and Howell all going in the first, I don't know that he would be there for me.
Nope.
But this is more a strategy for me. I like to kind of take the value where the value is coming to me. So if Howell was there and he had first round capital in a post draft, I would take him. For me right now, Sky Moore was the guy. I think that he has a ton of upside as a prospect.
Yeah.
I think he has an extremely high ceiling, and he's just an exciting player. I think that you got to take guys that you want to root for and that you want to be that you can get behind and you can cheer for. And I think Sky Moore is one of those dudes. So
I was this close to taking Sky Moore over Dotson, but I went Dotson with my ranks because I just didn't want to deviate too much. But Sky Moore, man, I debated it for sure.
Yep. And if you hadn't taken Dotson and had taken Moore, I would have taken Dotson. So
right,
we're sharing a brain on that one.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think that's great value for those guys, getting them in the middle part of the second round. I mean, those
Absolutely.
guys, if those guys turn into a version of Deontay Johnson, giddy up. I'm on board for it all day.
Elijah Moore, Deontay Johnson. I love that. Like that. Sky Moore has a little bit more grit though than that guy. I think he eats nails for breakfast. That guy is an unbelievably tough player. Like he is awesome to watch.
He's not hunting warthogs like Traylon Burks is with his bare hands.
He's
exactly.
He's a close stud.
He's a 1A in the grittiness department for these wide receivers.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And then for me, looking at round 3, 4, 5, it got slightly dicey. I saw Strong sitting there. I don't get a good feeling.
I was surprised.
Strong.
I thought you were going Strong all the way, 100%.
I don't get a great feeling about Strong. It just the medical can't test well. I mean, he had negative 305 yards rushing in his college career. That's terrible.
Yeah.
He's a statue of a statue. So he's got a live arm. He's got, he can play in the pocket, but he can't move at all. So I was
talking about Pierre Strong, not Carson Strong.
Oh,
I was never talking about Carson Strong.
So when I said this is where it kind of fell apart, and to frame this, I didn't have ranks in front of me. I was in the car on the way to a basketball game up in Philadelphia. I was not driving and drafting.
There you go.
Yeah, we were going up, so I was kind of like I was in the middle of 3 conversations. Not that there's ever an excuse for it, but I like Dulcich a lot as the second tight end in this class. The tight ends are probably going to be location heavy, but I was listening to something on Sirius. They said that Dulcich was a walk-on at UCLA. He didn't really get any offers, and he earned his way onto the team and earned his role. So to me, he's a grinder, he's a worker.
He was a wide receiver, and they changed him to tight end because of how big he is, and look what happened. He became one of the best tight ends in the class, and you can see his wide receiver skills come out all the time when he plays football. So it's actually, I love that pick. I think that's going to be a sneaky pick. I'm excited for.
Yeah, I had been early in on Isaiah Likely, as he was kind of floating around as my second, but I think I've settled in on Dulcich now. And then as soon as I made this Pacheco pick, I kind of texted you guys. I was like, shit, I should have gone Kevin Harris. So Kevin Harris would be my guy there. Pacheco is easily available in the 5th round and honestly probably beyond in your drafts. So, but I like the value that. So if you look at the guys the running backs that kind of went there, you got Davian Knight, you got Kevin Harris, and we'll talk more about these guys. And you got Pacheco, you got Ely. Those guys are all guys that if they're going to end up getting drafted at some point. They're probably going to be late day 2, most likely day 3. They're going to get a spot. They're going to get a chance to earn their way onto a roster. It'll probably be as a special teams or as a depth guy. But as you saw with Eli Mitchell, the draft capital kind of doesn't matter. It matters to a certain extent, but if they like you, they like you. And, you're going to get a chance to go.
Yep.
Okay, so just with your Isaiah Pacheco pick here, I took the running backs and I sorted them by their speed score, which is one of the most indicative metrics for running back success at the next level. Number 1, right here, Isaiah Pacheco at 4.37.
He's a stud.
Dash. He's an absolute stud. So to go in the 4th round and take just a dart on a player like that, how could you argue that?
And he's big too. So you see that that level speed. You think he's got to be 5'9", 195. Now he's 5'11", 218. He's a big dude. So he played at Rutgers, terrible offensive line. A 4th round, I'm fine with it. And then the Zappy pick, that's kind of a placeholder pick for me. I'm gonna take a shot on a quarterback in the later rounds. It's probably going to be somebody who's in a backup role, but a lot of these guys, like we saw with Davis Mills, an injury away or something like that. I was in on Mills last year, and it's kind of working out for me. It worked out the back part of the year last year, and it's working out the beginning part of the year this year. So that was a placeholder. Not necessarily Zappy is the guy that I would take there, but with the guys that are still left, I would probably take a quarterback in the 5th round.
Let's get to yours, Shane. Yours is
let's talk about it. Just real quick here, I'm being put on blast by both Beck and Clipboard Jesus, saying that small school guy, the University of Washington is not a small school. Okay.
Oh, that's true. That's so true. I was going to say it.
It's a Pac-12. I get it.
Dude, that was. Yep.
I was going to let you slide, but whatever.
That's so funny.
That's going to call me out on my bullshit, man. Sometimes I just shoot from the hip, baby. Listen.
Damn Canadians thinking Washington's small.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Although the thing is, the first thing you Google Washington University, and that's a Div 3 school. So apparently the University of Washington and Washington University are 2 different schools. Now, being a Canadian, we don't have all these different, we've got one division. It is just our universities. Granted, we're a fraction of the size of the United States. Yeah. Moving on, okay? I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, picking up the 11th spot. I am pretty excited for my draft here, okay?
Yeah.
This will never happen in a real draft because that's not how we work, unfortunately. But Rachaad White, Zamir White, Jalen Tolbert, Kevin Harris, and then Sincere McCormick. Again, total dart throw with Sincere, but obviously Rachaad White, man, we have him as our RB3 on the board. So, I mean, we had our boy Mike, drafting Isaiah Spiller, which, listen, if you don't follow this shit as closely as we do, one of the highest discussed running backs was Isaiah Spiller. He was in discussion to be one of the top 3 running backs. On some people's boards before the combine, he was the number one.
Yeah.
So that's a bold call. And look, if you don't follow this shit, we're so engulfed in this. We just assume everybody's obsessed with this, but they're not. They're not. So look, Isaiah Spiller, I mean, he went Isaiah Spiller, Kyron Williams, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Wydermyer, all guys who pre-combine, hey, let's go. Although I'll be honest, I was never really on a Wan'Dale type guy. He's just too small. Same reason I'm kind of out on Calvin Austin. But yeah, man, Jalen Tolbert, small school, South Alabama guy, super athletic, was the clear top wide receiver at the Senior Bowl. And I want to say that we've seen it translate in the NFL where the top performing wide receiver in the Senior Bowl, we'll see it again with Christian Watson, that player has instant production in the NFL in year 1 because they're mature. They step into the game. They're the type of player, they're a rookie that coaches will trust. So to me, it's kind of a no-brainer in the 3rd round. Kevin Harris, athletic freak. To be honest with you, I was giving Cody a hard time because Cody's gone to bat saying Kevin Harris is one of his top 5 RBs, and he was a coward. I'm calling you out, Cody Carpentier. Carpentier NFL. You were a coward, and you drafted Tyler Beatty, which is fine.
He did.
It's not a bad player. He ain't Kevin Harris. And Sincere McCormick, to be honest with you, I don't really have a strong take for that guy, but I'm taking a shot on the running back in my 5th round. There's just path to fantasy success and fantasy relevance, even if it's for a month. You're probably going to get that out of the running back versus the wide receiver. So that's it, boys. A lot of fun. I mean, it's something that we're going to continue to do, obviously, after the draft as we get into rookie draft season. I got a question for you, both of you. Mike and Brandon, I'm going to ask you first. When do you like to have your rookie drafts in your dynasty leagues?
A week after the real draft.
Yeah?
Yeah. Usually a week after the real draft.
You don't want to give people time to a
week's enough.
Participating in training camp, do they feel good? Are they getting those warm and fuzzy? No, you don't care about that shit.
No. I think you got to do it right after the draft, so you can really actually feel like you can give the people that worked hard pre-draft their advantage because they worked hard. I think that's the right thing to do for the guys that are degenerates, and a week after the draft is long enough for us. So we want to do it. I mean, shit, Mike was trying to do it before the draft. So, I mean, people want to do it as soon as possible. And I give people a week to get their shit together. And and that's enough for me.
Give him a week. I would say I like being in multiple dynasty leagues because for the most part, I prefer to draft after the NFL draft just because so much can friggin' change. And I get you want to take a strong take on your players, et cetera, et cetera. But I like that we're going to go just one league. That's all we need, just one league in a couple of years, in 2 seasons. We're going to go and we're going to draft pre-NFL draft. And then we'll just gonna get eviscerated and just cry. And listen, that just makes things spicy. I love it. Okay, boys, shall we get to RB's big board? All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I say this, I got to go and actually pull up my big board. Otherwise, I'll be just clowning around. But let's get started. I mean, the most obvious player that's going to be drafted, he's being picked as or mocked as the RB1 in the vast majority of drafts, is going to be Breece Hall. So again, playerprofiler.com/big board. I think you might have to have a dynasty membership to be able to view the big board, but this is something that our friends at Player Profiler put together. It's something that I use because, listen, it's a gut check, right? If it's a player you like, but he's being mocked like the 7th round, well, that's it, man. Like a Jermar Jefferson, for example, loved him, fell late in the draft. That's it. His value's dead, right? But the most obvious one, Breece Hall, Mike, I'm going to give you this layup. Talk to me about Breece Hall and why you should be the RB1 off the board.
Because he is good at football. I mean, he checks all the boxes. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the patience. He can run between the tackles. He can bounce outside. He tested really well. He's got good hands. He can block in pass pro. He's just everything you want. He's got breakaway speed. He had 38% of his yards were on breakaway runs this year. So like he's seeing the seams, he's seeing the creases, and then he's running away from the second and third level tacklers. I mean, he's everything. He's everything that you're looking for if you want a foundational back. That said, he'll probably go somewhere like freaking Miami or the Jets, and he'll be in a committee, and he will just break all of our hearts.
Ooh, baby, that would suck.
Yeah. So one of the things that Al has made us really think critically about is just like, okay, it's one thing to just spout, okay, this team needs a running back, this team needs a running back. It goes into, okay, what draft capital do they have? What are their needs? And can they afford to draft running back? So you look at a team like the Jets, and this is going to break a lot of people's hearts. Well, more so the Michael Carter truthers. They have the 4, they have the 10, they have the 35, and they have the 38. Even if they trade back at one of those picks and get more draft capital, it's just going to be more fuel. So the more I think about it, I mean, in our big board, we have him going at the 40s, but at 35, 38, to me, that's a pretty big sweet spot for him going to the Jets. I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, look, the Jets are improving. If one of these top offensive linemen fall to them at 4, and then they draft one of these other wide receivers at 10, and then they go again and draft running back and one of their second round picks, I don't hate it, man. Like the Jets, that's the formula. You draft your quarterback and you put players around him. And look, it's going to be unfortunate for Michael Carter because he's going to really be just relegated to a satellite back and third down back. And obviously that might cap a little bit of the Breece Hall upside because what we love about him is that he's electric with the ball in his hands and he can catch the ball in the air. It's just, I don't care, man. I'm drafting Breece Hall as of right now. Unless something crazy happens, he's going to be my 101 no matter what in all formats. I'm locking it in. I'm saying a Breece Hall 101 all formats. Don't care. Brandon, tell me why is that wrong?
I think it's just it really, if he goes to a committee, that's gonna really reduce his ability to be probably in the pass game for most likely. Especially if he goes to the Jets, because Carter's really damn good in the pass game, and obviously from last year, so is Hall. I don't know if there's going to be enough snaps to go around for him to be, a top 5 RB if he goes to a committee. But like, let's say if Kenneth Walker went to Houston, he gets all the touches, and then you get, Breece Hall in New York. I mean, the Jets. I mean that's a problem to me. That would bring it quite a bit closer because I know I'm going to get Walker's. If whoever goes to Houston is going to get a very large workload because all they got is Marlon Mack. He's coming off an Achilles, and I just don't see the same competition to fight over it. So there is scenarios where I would take Kenneth Walker over Breece Hall. but it would have to. It's rare, but yes, Breece Hall is the 101 because he is, that JT comped guy. Like he can become JT in the right situation. So we'll see. But Kenneth Walker is obviously the next guy. They Player Profiler has him ranked on the big board, all the way down towards 67 overall versus Breece Hall. He's at 44. I just think that's a little bit too big of a gap. I think it's going to be closer than that. I think they're going to go off pretty close together. I think they're all going to go off in the top hat. And I mean, people aren't talking about it, but Seattle is one that is a place that if one of these backs goes to, that is a place that it's established. The philosophy there in Seattle is that we're going to lean on the run game. Pete Carroll's old school. He just shipped out Russ. He has Drew Lock for God's sakes, and now he has to run the ball. And so he's got his wish. He's got Penny. Penny is he really came on towards the last part of last year, but he's been a real, pain in the ass for fantasy people that drafted him because all he gets is injured. He finally played in his contract year. But, I mean, if Breece Hall lands there, I see for sure Penny is gone for 2023, and it's going to be the Breece Hall show. And if that happens, I'm all in on Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker if they go to Seattle. Like that, Seattle is a place where they are stuck in the past with philosophy. So that is a place that we want our RBs to go to.
Okay, here, sorry, Mike, just one quick thing here because Kevin's got a comment here. He says he loves Hall, but Hall to the Jets and Walker to Buffalo. So just on that, Kevin, so Buffalo has the 25 and the 57. They're not going to take a running back at 25. I don't think that'd be a smart move. Buffalo knows and they make the right decisions, right? Like they're not going to take a luxury pick. They saw what happened to Kansas City with Clyde Edwards-Helaire a few years back. It ain't going to happen. They're too smart for that, okay? But to 57, like Brandon just said, we've got him going in the 60s in round 3, early round 3. Yep. I don't think it's going to happen. So maybe he does fall. I don't think it's realistic, but it's definitely
Kenneth Walker to Buffalo would be, for NFL reasons, that would be so much fun to watch. Like because every stage of that offense would have an explosive player. And Kenneth Walker, I mean, Player Profile has him comped to LaDainian Tomlinson for God's sakes. Come on, like that's all time great. I got him comped to J.K. Dobbins. I loved his in and out, how he gets out of phone booths. He can create his own space. He can go. He jumps backwards to create space, and then he goes. It's different. It's different looking. He's a different style back, and I think Buffalo would be a nice fit for him. That would be fun to me as well. I think that. I think I would start thinking. If Buffalo, that's a high octane offense.
It could be. Mike, I have a hot take for you. Okay, I want you to comment on this. Is Michael Carter better than Nyheim Hines? Significantly, though, like to the point where he would relegate Breece Hall to a community type role.
So this is exactly what I was going to say. I get that we're saying,
JT.
I get that we're saying, Breece Hall to the Jets is a big deal. It's terrible because Carter's good, but was Carter good just because he was there? Like, is Carter so close to Breece Hall that like Carter's going to legitimately eat into Breece Hall's time? They're two completely different backs, and honestly, I don't think that you put that capital into Breece Hall to then give him to do what Denver did this year. I mean, and you see how that worked out for Fangio and that staff. Like, you have a stud. This kid's a stud. You got a 4-year window on him. You got your quarterback on a rookie contract last year. You got your RB1 on a rookie contract this year. It's go time, baby. Don't dick around with Michael Carter and they're giving him 40% of the carries. Get the fuck out of here. Like,
you just never know. These NFL coaches, man.
Breece Hall 75 to 80% of the time. Carter to spell him, and let's go. You saw how it started in Indy to what you were saying, JT and Nyheim Hines, and then Frank Reich was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. JT is the best player in the NFL. Maybe we should give him the ball." And
maybe we should give him the ball.
Taylor rushed for over 100 yards. They won, and when they didn't win, guess what? Taylor didn't rush for 100 yards. You got Carson Wentz throwing on the way down, trying to sidearm it, losing to Jacksonville, losing to the Raiders, and now he's out of town. Like, you want your quarterback to be successful, draft the stud, ride the stud, get the offensive lineman, get the defense, get the wide receiver, and turn the Jets into a reputable franchise once again.
Okay, I got a question
if they
for both you guys.
if they do that'd be amazing, but we'll see.
Question for both you guys, okay? So we're talking about high likelihood potentially that the Jets are going to take Breece Hall. Maybe they pass on Breece Hall. Maybe they take Kenneth Walker. Who knows, right? Crazy things can happen.
Baby.
But say they go running back in round 2, okay? Michael Carter is currently being drafted on underdog drafts as the RB23, 66 overall, okay? 66 overall is smack dab in the middle of round 6. That's where you're getting some pretty premium wide receivers. Is it a trap?
100% it's a trap. Now, what he does become is he becomes a high priority handcuff along the likes of Alexander Madison. So when you get into redraft, if you're the Breece Hall, if you take Breece Hall, then you have to prioritize Carter because you've seen Carter fill that role. He didn't get it. He got hurt at the end of the year last year, but that if you lose Hall for a stretch of 3 games, Carter's going to step right in. But in a vacuum right now, it's absolutely a trap.
Yeah, and Alexander Madison's going as RB48 at pick 128.
Yep.
So buyer beware with Michael Carter. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it can certainly happen. Okay, so then getting back to the mock board here, we talked about Breece Hall at number 44. The next running back is Kenneth Walker. I think we've talked enough about Kenneth Walker.
Yep.
Number 78, Texas A&M, Isaiah Spiller. I think this is false. This is not going to happen anymore, right?
I don't think so.
I don't see how it can.
Yeah. I mean, if the scouts can actually see the fact that the guy just isn't fast as a running back, speed does matter with running backs. It really matters.
Yes.
And being able to break away from the second level and be able to finish runs, that's how you finish runs in the NFL. You have to be able to do that. I just don't see that ability as much as I do with a Kenneth Walker or a Breece Hall. Even the ability of Rachaad White, the upside of Rachaad White, his athleticism is off the charts. I mean, that guy, I would take a shot on him for the NFL. I think he'll be a better pro in the NFL than Isaiah Spiller will be, just simply because of athleticism.
So when you say speed matters, speed 100% matters. But for the folks that are new that haven't been into this the way that we have, there's two different speeds that we talk about when we talk about speed. There's the testing speed. So you see Spiller, you see it. Shane's got it up on the screen there. Spiller tested at a 4.69 or a 4.64, and honestly, using the Cody Carpentier 0.05 variance, that he's a 4.7 guy. Let's just call him what he is. He's a 4.7 guy. That's fine if he played faster on tape.
Mm-hmm.
If he posted a 4.7, you could say it was injury, it was this, it was that. If he's running away from guys on tape, you can ignore it. But when the testing metrics line up with what you see on tape, then you say, you know what? He is what he is. He's a slow guy who had a good college career, was highly touted coming out of high school, but maybe he's just not quick enough and fast enough to be a stud at the next level.
I think he's going to get hurt quite a bit in the NFL, just the way he runs the ball, man. He gives a direct target for everybody. I mean, his chest is way up in the air. He has no bend. He has good feet and patience. Everybody tries to liken him to Le'Veon Bell, but I mean, Le'Veon Bell was fat. He ran a 4.5, in the 4.5s. And I just don't see Le'Veon Bell. I can't get there with Spiller, but Spiller has fallen way down every single draft board I've seen. So I would be highly surprised if he actually is a third running back. I think it's more likely it's going to be Zamar White or Rachaad White as a third RB coming off the board, just because you can go to that athleticism, man. When all else fails, if an RB can break a tackle and then eat up grass, that's valuable. So if you can do that, then you got more value to me than Spiller.
Yeah. So I go back to December. Okay, Brandon, you and I were just starting to dive into these rookies, and we said, okay, let's start with the ones that are getting the most talk. Isaiah Spiller, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker. Okay. We looked at the Isaiah Spiller film, and we were just texting. We're like, what are we missing here with this guy? He doesn't look that impressive in tape. He just doesn't look that impressive. I don't care. Listen, I'm not a pro trained scout. But we've been watching a lot of football, especially a lot more football as we've dived into this Flex Network thing. And the reality is He, to me, didn't really pass the eye test.
No.
He doesn't have the production. I get it. Texas A&M talks about how, okay, one of the reasons you want to come here is because we're not going to work you, so you'll be fresh for the NFL. Okay, fine. But he doesn't have the production. He doesn't have the college dominator rating. He doesn't look great on tape. And then he goes and tests, and he lays an egg. Yep. So, man.
How many flags do you need? How many flags do you need? Like, I think people that are sticking by him are being stubborn, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think if throughout this process, if I'm higher on somebody than the most, and then they go and shit the bed and testing bad, I got to adjust, because the market is saying, why am I going to take this guy at the level I think he's at, when the market is saying I can get him way cheaper? Like, you got to bring him down just automatically, because the market is dictating that. Not because of maybe you still believe in the guy, but you still got to adjust to the market, and you can literally get your guy cheaper. Like, if you are an Isaiah Spiller guy, you could have got you. I mean, he went 1-9 in our draft. Like, in a real draft, you could trade back, and you could probably get him at 203, or 204. Yeah. So that's where he could go, and that's where his appropriate spot is.
Let me ask you something, okay? Because the Jets be the Jets, okay?
Oh my God!
What if? Okay, again, going back. CEH, he was like the 6th ranked running back on our board. Okay, we had everybody ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
What if the Jets be the Jets, and instead of drafting Breece Hall, instead of drafting Kenneth Walker, those Jets, round 2, take Isaiah Spiller as the first running back off the board? Does that change anything for you?
It'd make it higher for Carter for me.
Exactly. Yes.
Like, that's pretty much it. I think he will end up outworking him, and there's going to be a difference on tape every single day at practice, and those coaches are going to see it every single day. And Carter is I think he's a craftier running back. I don't know. I just think he's better.
Listen, it is what it is. Clip. If Isaiah Spiller goes, that's perfect for Michael Carter. That's going to be fantastic.
It's perfect. Yeah, it's
going to be fantastic. All right, let's move on, guys. Let's move on, because we've talked a lot about Isaiah Spiller. We like it. We got to go way down the draft board to find the next running back drafted, and it is a Senior Bowl standout. Many said he was the best running back at the Senior Bowl. Damian Pierce, running back out of Florida, is the next running back drafted off the board at 107. I don't hate this, man. What's really kind of interesting here is that Damian Pierce, and I'm doing now a second mock with Roto Underworld and Roster Watch. I'm representing Roster Watch. Thank you, Roster Watch, for inviting me back. I appreciate it. I believe it was round 2 or I think it was round 3. Cody went and he took Damian Pierce. He kind of sniped Alex Dunlop, because Alex is, I think, one of the highest people that I know on Damian Pierce. Look, Roster Watch, those guys are sharp as hell, man. Again, he was on the all Roster Watch team when they went to the Senior Bowl. Damian Pierce, man, he's going to be somebody that you're probably going to want to get for just his first contract, right? Because who knows what's going to happen after that. He obviously was at the Senior Bowl, so he's certainly older. But I like Damian Pierce, man. He looks good. He looks like a bit of an acrobat when he's got the ball in his hand. So do you guys have a strong take on Damian Pierce?
I think the only thing that stands out, what you like about Damian Pierce, is that he stayed at Florida his entire career. He wasn't the featured back. He stayed, and he grinded it out. He looks good on tape, but there's got to be a reason that they never gave him the full bell cow role. And everything that I've seen, I've seen highlights, I've watched a little bit, looking at his numbers, like, everything looks like he checks the boxes, but then you go back to it and it's, they just never turned it over to him. So why is that? Is it like what you said about Spiller at Texas A&M, where they're like, you know what, we're going to back off you a little bit so you don't have the wear and tear on your body going into the NFL? Or was it that they didn't think that his body could physically stand up to it? Or they thought that he only mentally could process a certain portion of the playbook? So as they were going to dive deeper into the playbook, situationally, it dictated it. Like, there's a lot of things that we don't know that kind of like that give you pause. That said, he's a stud. He has the physical tools. I don't know why it happened all for the whole time he was there. So reason for it.
The most attempts he had is 106 attempts in his, I mean, That's really low production, guys. I mean, that's
low usage.
Usage.
Yeah.
It's usage. Usage. That's why. Like, I don't understand that either. That, man, I wish I knew more about him off the field.
In his senior year, okay, he had 100 rush attempts.
Yep.
574 yards, averaged 5.7 yards per carry.
Yeah.
13 touchdowns. 19
That's awesome
for 260. Like,
yeah.
Maybe he's a committee guy. I'm just gonna keep going back to the Jets. Because that was like Michael Carter is a perfect committee guy, right? We saw it with JW, right? With Javonte.
Yep.
Maybe Damian Pierce, is going to go to the Jets in round 3. Like, why not, man? He's going to be a great. Oh, Bolly's in the house, baby. Okay, so Bolly's in the house, and
well, I mean,
let's go.
Does he remind you at all in the way he runs like Kareem Hunt? He has that. Roster watch was super high on Kareem Hunt when he came out of the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
They were super high on this guy. So that's interesting to think about. And he's got great size. I mean, 5'10", 224. BMI is 32. That's 88th percentile. That's nice. 4.52 forward or 4.59 40. You know, he had 100 speed score. That's 69th percentile. So that's pretty good. His agility is not great. Like that wasn't great. But I don't know.
He's also old.
He's 22. Yeah.
And so he's going to be I guess probably midway through the season. He'll be 23, which again, for these running backs at this range, round 3-ish, like in terms of your rookie drafts, we're going to be drafting them. Chances are you're just going to get him for one contract, right?
Who do you like, Brian Robinson or Damian Pierce more?
I like Damien Pierce.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Robinson is a better speed score. He ran the 4.53.
I kind of like Brian Robinson at the same age. I think that's.
Yeah.
I think, or he's a little older than him, but Rachaad White is 23. So I mean, if we're talking about old, like people got to understand, Rachaad White is also a little older as well. Just because of his route to college football was through junior college and all that stuff. So. But
Rachaad was at the Senior Bowl also, and Damian Pierce outplayed him. Those two guys were on the All Senior Bowl team
I wouldn't say he outplayed him. Rachaad White looked good. I didn't mind. I thought he looked pretty decent at the Senior Bowl when I was watching. But
Mike, this is a question.
The hype was about Damien.
Yeah. What RB do you want to go to the Eagles? Because they're probably going to take it. Because Miles Sanders.
They're going to take one.
He ain't the answer.
I don't want any of them to go there. But if we're gonna, let me pull up my race here.
Okay, look. So Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think about it? They've got the 15 and the 18. They ain't going to choose a running back there. In round 2, they've got the 51st. Now, here's the thing. I feel like the Eagles are actually doing things smart. They made the trade with New Orleans, got an extra first for next year. They've got the 15 and the 18. Why don't they trade back and they get a couple 2s? That to me seems like unless they want to go running or a linebacker, maybe defensive back. If they want to go skill position, they should trade back into the round 2. Use maybe one of those firsts to take the player that they want. But they could probably trade back to round 2 and maybe even get a first for next year. Who knows, right? Like,
yeah. So I think this is what you're going to see. This is what I would like to see. I'm sorry. So at the end of the year, the Eagles ran the ball more than anybody in the NFL did. And honestly, they ran the ball at an historical rate. Like they were putting up rushing numbers that were previously unseen. And then all of a sudden they just stopped and it kind of fell apart for them. So looking at the guys that are there, I think I don't know if they're going to take a receiver or not. A lot of stuff I've seen has them going defensive interior, defensive secondary with those first picks. If they move back and they accumulate seconds, I assume that they're probably going to go defensive line or defensive interior with the one. If say they come back off 18 and they move back, they pick up a couple seconds. They'll go D line in the first with their first round pick, and then they'll probably obviously they'll back off. I would love to see them take a Zamir White, somebody like that. Looking at him,
yeah,
he seems like somebody that needs. he needs the reps and he needs the game to get going, kind of like the way that a Derrick Henry does. Like he needs to get in the game flow to get going. I'm not copying Zamir White to Derrick Henry, but I'm saying like he's that kind of a runner. And with the dedication that the Eagles apparently now have to the run game, somebody like that would be great. I don't think Miles Sanders is going to get to a second contract. They still have Boston Scott in the house. They still have Kenny Gainwell in the house. So to see somebody like Zamir White in there, somebody who can, he's not a zero in the passing game. It's not his forte. He's a runner.
If any of these RBs land with the Eagles, I'm out. That's a mess to deal with. Try and figure out who's going to be the guy in that backfield. That's gonna be a mess, straight up.
That's an NFL take, not a fantasy take. I'm saying that's an NFL take.
I'm out.
Hey, hear me out.
Stay the hell away from that. So
okay, hear me out. Okay. The Eagles have 3 round 5 picks. To me, that's like that next tier of running back. Jerome Ford is being running back out of Cincinnati, is being comped or being mocked right around 150, right? So that's going to be right in that sweet spot where they've got a bunch of 5th round picks. To me, that makes a lot of sense because wasn't Jordan freaking Howard, the plotter himself, doing absolutely nothing? Jerome Ford, he transferred to Cincinnati because he wasn't getting the touches at Alabama, right? Whereas Brian Robinson waited his turn till his senior year to go and be the lead back there. After 2 years, Jerome Ford transferred. Last year, on 215 rush attempts, he had 1,315 yards, 20 total touchdowns, and to catch the ball, he got 21 receptions for 220 yards.
Very good.
I think Jerome Ford, late round pick. We don't love it, right? Because we want draft capital. But again, Jordan freaking Howard was fantasy relevant last year. If you were bold enough to pick him up off the waiver wire, you could start him once they were actually playing him. So to me, that kind of makes sense. Again, another older running back, but I like Jerome Ford. I think that's a good spot for a Philly running back. You're not spending a lot of capital. Use your premium capital on defense. Maybe get a few skill position players to help Jalen Hurts in the passing game. You get Jerome Ford, a stout running back. I like that. I think that'd be a good little fit right there.
I just can't wait for Mike's. I wish I could see Mike's face live when his Philadelphia Eagles draft Drake London. And it's going to be amazing.
I would love it. Give it to me. I'll take it.
Hold on a second.
All right.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay. I'm putting both of you guys on blast right now. Okay. Both of you. Brandon D. Adam on Twitter, Mike_Dickinson on Twitter. Brandon, Mike, April 30th. Okay. What weekend is April 30th? Oh, that's right. It's the NFL draft weekend. What weekend can either of you freaking record? Oh yeah, that's April 30th. I get there's real life shit. It's gonna kill me inside. So I got a superstar. I got Alan Selesky coming on the show. Bill and Free, two boys. But
man, I don't create the USA Hockey freaking schedule. I just go where I'm told. I'm sorry.
If you could alter NASCAR schedule, that'd be great too.
That'd be great.
So, Mike, actually tell me about that. You're going to a NASCAR?
No. Our company owns the concessions at the local NASCAR
at Delaware, track.
In Delaware, yeah. Delaware only has one NASCAR track, so it's a very, very big weekend for us. So we have 27 concession stands and probably 85 to 90 catering events that we do over the course of 2.5 days.
He's gonna be busy, man. Trust me.
Yeah, no, it's gonna happen. I get it. I'm giving you guys a hard time. I mean, look,
it broke my heart not being for this one, man. Like this is what we've been waiting for, and it just sucks, man. On my schedule, the next 2 weeks is just gnarly. Like 3 weeks, it's crazy. So I won't be around for a couple weeks. So
I got a fun fact about NASCAR, by the way. I didn't know this, but did you guys know that NASCAR originated right around the time of Prohibition? Because a lot of these bootleggers had money to burn, so they were buying nice cars, and they would go and they'd race them on the side. So it originated from Prohibition. So there you go.
God bless America. Love it.
That's as American as it gets.
Yes, it really is.
Although, ironically, it happened during Prohibition, which is, in my opinion, very anti-American. But
we rectified it. Don't worry, we're good. Yeah. We
got
to work through we are a progressive country. We are making it happen. They're Canadian. Trust me.
There we go. I love it. Yeah, people would come up to Canada to get their liquor. All right, let's move on, boys. This is going off the rails real friggin' quick. Okay. After Damian Pierce Brian Robinson is the next running back drafted off the board.
Mhm.
And then Kevin says, I can see Brian Robinson to Saints to complement Alvin Kumar. I like that. I like Robinson is better in the NFL than fantasy. Totally agree with that as well. I mean, look, Brian Robinson could be Mark Ingram, right?
Sure.
Why not?
Why the hell not? That's a great fit. I actually like that. Good call. Like that's
isn't Ingram on the roster still at like 32 years old? I'm pretty sure he's still technically a Saint, isn't he? I think he is. We'll check that.
I have to check that out. Yeah, I don't know.
Here's my worst fear for Brian Robinson is that he goes to Jacksonville because Doug Peterson was the one that loved. He had the Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard.
Dude, Travis Etienne, like just let him try. Just give him 1 year as the dude, and you're going to be excited. Trust me. Like
Doug Peterson hates joy.
I know he does.
He hates good things.
He hates football. He hates all that.
He hates all of it. So it would be that would be a very Peterson move for him to push Balky to take Brian Robinson in the third.
Kamara, yeah, people got to start talking about that. Kamara is probably going to be suspended. Clipboard Jesus, you're right. He's probably going to get suspended. I'm trying not to.
Yeah.
so that's where I'm at.
Yeah. In underdog drafts right now, Alvin Kumar is being drafted at pick 18, which has been a little second round at RB9. So I've got him ranked as my RB12, right above Cam Akers. But to be honest with you, he's there, but I'm probably not going to take Alvin Kamara.
I just treat him as like
he's
not
DK. I'll go DK Metcalf probably there. Like DK's being ADP is right around 18-20 as well. That's who I'm probably going to take over Alvin Kamara. I'm out.
Yeah, I agree. You just don't know. I mean, that fight sounded bad too. So it could be a multiple game thing. Who knows?
Yeah. And then, pivoting back to the big board, guys. The next two running backs drafted off the board are the Georgia brothers, James Cook, of course, Dalvin Cook's little brother, and Zamir White, running back out of Georgia. Again, I comped them. Lightning and Thunder, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams last year. That's who I see these guys this year. Zamir White, oh, man, I love him. He had a 4.4 40-yard dash. He's got 114.20 speed score. Love Zamir. I think that after we see the draft, I think he's going to get round 2, round 3 draft capital. After his performance, that's going to happen. And James Cook, man, I like James Cook, but he's going to be a satellite back. He's a satellite back. His upside's limited. That's it.
Oh, wow. What a great comp by Player Profile. Andre Ellington. That's exactly who he is. Like that.
Or who?
That's James Cook. That's their comp is Andre Ellington.
Oh,
I mean,
that's right.
I liked Andre Ellington. He just never got the chance, really, unfortunately. But
yeah, I mean that's one of those situations where like so many of these good players, but he's okay. So this is how my best comparables top 5: Andre Ellington, Wendell Smallwood, Wolf, Fozzie Whitaker, Wolf, Justice Hill. We liked, got hurt, didn't really do much, and Dontrell Hilliard. So I mean, I just see him as James White, right? I mean, like James White's absolute peak.
I think Bucky Brooks has him as his top 5. He's in his top 5 RBs. It's pretty wild.
Like, these Georgia running backs, man, they're studs. Yeah. They're good in the NFL. It's just a fact.
Yeah. All right. That's pretty much as skanky as it gets. I mean, we can get to Tyler Algier, my guy. If you want a guy that's actually a 3-down back, like this guy is all right. Let me pull him up real quick.
Look, yeah. So while you're doing that, Tyler Algier is not even in the top 140 here. So we're not going to talk about all these guys. Rashad White. We've talked about Rashad White in detail. So we're not going to really go into Rashad White. Yeah. Spoiler, we love him. He's an RB3. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, Tyler Algier, 5'11", 221 pounds, BMI 68 percentile, age 22, had a college dominator rating of 35%. That's 84 percentile, 5.8 yards per carry, college target share 10%. I mean, that right there should tell you he's a 3-down back. This guy can do it all for you. He's James Conner. I think he's going to be a steal in all rookie drafts. I think he's going to go mid to late 3rd round. And I pulled the trigger a little earlier on him in our mock draft because I've been a believer in him since the beginning. I can't wait to see where he falls to and where he's going to be. Because if there's any pathway, I'm going to try and get this guy on some of my rosters because being that big and being able to catch the football, I think he's going to be better. He was a linebacker in college, so he wasn't an RB the whole time in college, so he's still learning. His first full-time year was last year, and he broke out in a big way. He had 276 rush attempts for 1,600 yards, 23 touchdowns, 28 receptions with 299 yards. That's pretty good stuff right there. And for your first year as being the guy. So I like that. I think he can be a better pro than college player.
So the rushing yards 1601 was third in the NCAA, and rushing touchdown he was tied for first at 23 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So he had a production. Are we allowed to say BYU is a small school?
Yes.
No, BYU is not a small school.
See, that's why I ask it. That's why I ask it.
I think it's a medium school. Like I think but they play pretty decent teams. But yeah, once Zach Wilson left, it was the Tyler Algiere show, and that's when he broke out completely. So that I like it. I like him. Like I said, he's James Conner of this year. I think he's going to be that guy. They're
in the FBS. Google's telling me they were formerly a 1A school, so whatever the hell that means. To me, they're just like they're like a Washington to me. It's like, all right, they're a big school, but are they a big school? Yeah. Are they? Do we count it? Yeah. Level of competition, right? In the FBS, it's just the same as like the SEC, right? But he dominated that level of comp. He really did. Yeah, he looked great against that level of competition, and he looked like he could play for the bigger schools as well. So that's what I like about him. He actually is a finisher. He's grimy. He will be that NFL back. I think coaches will like him more and more as they see him in training camp. I think he's that guy. There you go. Whose dog's that?
That's my dog. That's my dog. Acting like an idiot.
All right. Well, the dog, I think, is trying to cue us that it's almost time to finish up the show. So there's a few guys we didn't talk about that I just want to talk about really, really quick.
Kevin Harris.
Really quick. The big board. I was going to say Kyron Williams real quick. Okay. We can talk about so we'll get to Kevin Harris after, but Kyron Williams, he's being boxed as a 127 running back out of Notre Dame. Again, just an epic fail. My God, a 4.65 40-yard dash, and he's not a big guy, right? Like he's not. What was he? 195 is what he weighed in at. It's just absolute horrid in terms of his speed score percentile. That's it, man. I'll take a shot on him in round 4, round 5 in my rookie drafts, but that's it. That's as high as I'm willing to pay for him. What about you guys?
I'm not.
He's off my board.
Yeah,
he's just off your board. Period.
Yeah, I'm not luring myself into that trap at all. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just his best comparable is James White, but I mean, it would just take the absolute perfect situation for him to pay off.
James White's faster than him, dude. Like, I don't see the same speed. Like, I think James White is a better athlete than him.
I love James White, sweet, beautiful James White. All right, you want to talk about Kevin Harris real quick before we get out of here?
Sure. I mean, he 5'10", 221 pounds. Look at his workout metrics. I mean, he has a burst score of 128, 90th percentile. That's ridiculously good. But the funny thing is, his 40-yard dash wasn't great. So he ran a 4.61 for his 40. That means his first 10 yards is stupid fast, and then he just slows down. He doesn't have that third gear, But as a RB, there's a role for those 2-down guys that can slug it out in between the tackles, and I think that's where he lives. But he also is a stud at catching the football. He had 7.5% college target share, 56 percentile. I mean, if you just watch him catch the football, he looks natural. He's one of the more natural guys at it in this class. That's why I liked him. That's what stuck out to me. He just struggled with injuries. That was the biggest issue with him. If he can just land in a place where he's going to get a shot, I think he can impress coaches just with his ability to catch the football. And once those first 2 to 3 steps after are obviously pretty elite with that burst score, but he slows down quite a bit after those steps. So he won't finish for you. But let's just say he has that Isaiah Spiller-esque to his first 2 steps are good, but then he slows down. But you get this guy in the 4th round versus the second or first round with Isaiah Spiller. Yeah. So Kevin Harris, in my opinion, he's probably going to go for 5, 6, 7. Yeah. 5, 6. We hope he gets drafted, frankly. We hope he gets drafted. I hope he gets 5th round draft capital, and then I like it.
So, I mean, he's a player that let's just see what happens in the NFL draft. And then maybe like if he doesn't get drafted, that's almost probably better than going around 6 or 7, right? Because then he can choose where he's going to go and hopefully go to a good situation.
Yes.
He's got the type of talent, though, that could probably start on special teams, which means he's on the field, which means he's part of the 53-man roster on game day. And that's important, right? Because just show the coaches that you know how to play the game, do whatever it takes, and that's how you're going to get to the next level.
And he's still young. He's 21 in 4 months, so he's still young.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to take it to the next level. Every single week, we're here. We're not going anywhere, and we appreciate everybody for sticking around. So for Kevin, Tara, Clipboard Jesus, Flex Matt, guys, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for communicating with us. Brandon, where do the good people find you?
Twitter, Brandon D. Adam 19. That's my handle. Give me a shout. I just blasted so much Drake London propaganda yesterday, and I'm so proud of my guy. He looked good. He was smart, said screw the 40. That is not football. I am 6'4", just a monster. I don't give a shit about my 40, and you're going to draft me in the top 10 no matter what. So that's the attitude he had, and I loved it. So all wheels up on Drake London.
And the word of Jersey Drake, just watch the tape, baby. Just watch the tape. Mike, where do people find you?
On Twitter at Mike_Dickinson. I spent a good chunk of this week bringing my wet blanket takes over to Eagles Twitter and just dashing hopes and dreams. Everybody wants us to take a wide receiver high and early, and I'm just not high on Howie Roseman's ability to honestly evaluate the wide receiver position. If you take Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, if you take Arcega Whiteside over DK Metcalf, I'm out. Just don't do it. They're like, well, you don't want to take a receiver ever again in the first round. I'm like, honestly, no, don't. Just don't do it. Take round 2, round 3. That's fine. Go free agent. Do not take one in the first. I'm out.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
You know what? Amazing. If you don't get Drake London, you go Alec Pierce, baby.
Yeah, I think that's a nice fit.
Yeah,
he's in the third. You're going to get him in the third round. You're exactly right, Mike. I think that I like that. I like that a lot there, Shane. Good call.
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are the Flex Network. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at the Flex Network 1. We're trying to step our media game up, so we're on all the socials. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're of course on Twitter because that's where we talk all our shit. But frankly, we just do it because we love this game. So thank you so much, guys. Less than 2 weeks away. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about the actual real life NFL draft results. So I can't wait. And that's it. So please like and subscribe, and we love you. We are the Flex Network.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody.